Sometimes mistakes cost something. Spilling a little milk may not seem like a big deal, but you paid for that milk, so even if it doesn't bother you, technically a very small amount of money was wasted. But now here's the thing, sometimes it's not a small amount of money that's wasted. Sometimes, when all is said and done, the price of a mistake can seriously add up. These are the most expensive mistakes in all history. Exxon Valdez crash. Cost, $4.4 billion. A drunk driver caused the worst oil spill the US had ever seen in 1989. The Exxon Valdez oil spill occurred when Captain Joe Hazelwood crashed the oil tanker into the Prince William Sound. Hazelwood was later convicted of operating the tanker while under the influence and negligent discharge of oil. 11 million gallons of oil were spilt in the accident, affecting 1,300 miles of the Alaskan coast. Wildlife was threatened and industries like fishing were severely impacted. The costs of cleaning up the spill, paying fines, and dealing with legal action added up to $4.4 billion. Next, this horrible accident cost astronauts their lives, and cost NASA billions of dollars. Challenger explosion. Cost, $5.5 billion. On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger was scheduled to take off. It was supposed to be the Challenger's last flight, and the mission included scientific objectives and satellite deployments. Unfortunately, unpredicted temperatures caused a tragic malfunction. Frosty temperatures the night before the launch caused rubber parts in the rocket boosters to freeze. The frozen parts didn't seal the way they were supposed to, and the Challenger exploded, killing the 7 astronauts on board. The space shuttle had never been tested at temperatures that cold, and sadly this oversight led to 7 lives and billions of dollars being lost. Next, this oil spill was the worst ecological disaster that Spain has ever seen. Sinking of Prestige. Cost, $6.9 billion. Despite its illustrious name, by 2002 the Prestige was a run-down oil tanker with 26 years of transport work under its enormous belt. While carrying 77,000 metric tons of oil, the Prestige got caught in a storm off the coast of Spain. The ship took on water, causing engines to shut down. As the ship leaked oil into the ocean, the crew was evacuated. After several days of debate and delay, the ship was finally brought into the harbor in Spain. The ecological damage, cleanups, and legal fees cost $6.9 billion. If the ship had been better maintained, it likely would have withstood the storm and the oil spill never would have happened. Next, you won't believe how much this golfer's cheating cost him. Tiger Woods affairs. Cost, $12 billion. In 2009, shocking reports came forward detailing golfer Tiger Woods' numerous extramarital affairs. The golfer's formerly wholesome image took a big hit, and his bank account soon took a nosedive, too. Woods' ex-wife Ellen Nordegren was awarded a $750 million settlement in their divorce. But that's not all. Prior to the details about his divorce coming to light, Woods had had lucrative endorsement deals with companies like Nike and Gatorade. Woods' sponsors dropped him, causing the golfer to lose even more. By some estimates, his indiscretions may have cost Tiger Woods as much as $12 billion. That's a lot of golf balls. Next, this 2011 incident was one of the most terrifying nuclear accidents ever. Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. Cost, $12 billion. Fukushima Daiichi was a nuclear power plant on the coast of Japan that unfortunately gained worldwide notoriety in March of 2011. An earthquake caused the reactors at the plant to shut down, but it also caused a tsunami. The tsunami shut down the plant's backup generator, preventing the necessary cooling process from taking place. Following this unfortunate chain of events, 3 nuclear reactors melted down and hydrogen explosions released dangerous radiation into the air. A 2012 investigation found that all of these events were totally preventable. Unfortunately, guidelines for the plant's necessary maintenance had been ignored and disaster struck at Fukushima. Next, sadly, following the Challenger, another space shuttle mission met a disastrous end. Columbia disintegrated on re-entry. Cost: $13 billion. The Space Shuttle Columbia crash of 2003 will sadly go down in history as another spacecraft accident that should never have happened. The shuttle was torn apart upon re-entering the Earth's atmosphere because of a piece of foam that fell from the shuttle's external tank, breaching its wing. All 7 astronauts on board Columbia were killed. When Columbia took off 16 days prior, a similar issue with falling foam had taken place, but nothing was done to correct the problem. This tragic incident led to the whole NASA Space Shuttle fleet being retired in 2011, and NASA bore tremendous public scrutiny for not taking precautions to secure the foam on the shuttle's tank. Next, here comes the second most disastrous corporate merger of all time. Mercedes-Benz buys Chrysler. Cost: $20 billion. Mercedes-Benz parent company Daimler-Benz merged with Chrysler in 1998, intent on transforming the two companies into one international automobile powerhouse known as Daimler-Chrysler. With one branch in the US and the other in Europe, the company hoped to dominate the car market on both continents. Daimler-Benz paid $37 billion for Chrysler, but unfortunately, the deal didn't stand the test of time. Due to culture clashes and differences in quality, the two companies struggled to see eye to eye. Then, in the 2000s, a recession drove Chrysler sales into the gutter. Daimler-Benz ultimately sold Chrysler in 2007 for $7 billion to Cerberus capital management firm, a company whose specialty is restructuring failing corporations. Next, coming in at number 3, we have the worst oil spill of all time. Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Cost: $61 billion. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico is considered the worst oil spill in history. 210 million gallons of oil were spilled following an explosion on the drilling rig. Oil threatened marine and wildlife habitats from Louisiana to Florida, and the spill continued for months as workers attempted time and again to stop the flow of oil. Ultimately, an investigation revealed that BP, the British company responsible for the Deepwater Horizon rigger, had cut corners on safety with disastrous effects. Cutting corners turned out to be very costly for BP. Cleaning up after the disaster and paying associated fines and legal fees has stuck the company with a $61 billion bill. Next, in the number 2 spot, check out the biggest corporate merger mistake ever. AOL buys Time Warner. Cost: $146 billion. In the year 2000, the dot-com bubble was at its height. AOL was regarded as the hottest tech company in the world, and the Time Warner deal was hyped to the max. AOL paid $182 billion to buy Time Warner, adding Time Warner cable packages to their then popular home internet offerings. Just a few months later, the dot-com bubble burst, causing AOL's value to decline rapidly. In 2009, Time Warner struck out on its own with a valuation of $36 billion. Newly single, AOL's value had dropped to just $2.5 billion. In 2000, AOL thought their reign as the leading home internet service would never end, yet just a few short years proved them very, very wrong. Next, you've made it all the way to the top. Keep going to see the worst, most expensive mistake in history. Chernobyl disaster. Cost: $590 billion. The Chernobyl disaster is the worst, most deadly nuclear accident of all time. The worst part is, it occurred due to some totally preventable mistakes. On April 25, 1986, a drill simulating a power outage at Chernobyl led to uncontrolled reactions and a steam fire that burned for 9 days. 134 workers were hospitalized due to radiation exposure, and 31 of them died in the following few weeks. 14 of them would later die from cancer, possibly caused by the radiation. The Chernobyl power plant ran on a Soviet-designed reactor that wasn't up to code for usage anywhere else in the world. Design flaws in that reactor caused the terrible incident, and irreparable damage occurred.